In the last couple of months, Bitcoin has rallied aggressively to $48,000. But according to historical price data, we're actually at least 4 months away from actually breaking through that 48K level of resistance. 4 months, that's a lot of time. And right now we're sitting at around $42,000 to $43,000. So really, we're only about a 12% move away from actually breaking through or retesting that level of resistance again. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the uniqueness of this round's 4-year cycle and why I don't think we're going to be breaking over that 48K level of resistance anytime soon. Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jess, and as the channel name suggests, it's all about crypto, trading, and technical analysis. So if you're all about that, would you love to learn, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So heading into the halving event this year, people were more aggressively bullish about Bitcoin than usual. A lot of it had to do with the Bitcoin spot ETF approvals, which obviously drove the price upwards, but even after the news happened and we crashed back downwards, Bitcoin still rallied another 13.7% in a new bid to break above $48,000. So if we take a look at Bitcoin's historical price action, we can see a pretty distinct pattern. So every single cycle, first of all, we establish a bullish trigger point, and that is in the middle of our bear market. It's through this dead cat bounce level. Talked about it a couple of times in my last videos, but it's a pretty simple concept. It's just a small bounce in the middle of a pretty big downwards move. So we establish that level here, and that becomes a bullish trigger level, and that happens every single cycle. So what we can also see is it is always exactly 517 days after the bottom of the bear market, or the local bottom, that we have our final retest of that bullish trigger point. So when I say final retest, I don't mean that we break above it. I mean that is the final time we retest it and reject from it. And every other time after that will be a break above and then a move to test our all-time high. So 517 days after the bottom of the bear market that we have the test, the final retest of that bullish trigger point, and then 184 days after the halving event is when we finally have our retest of the all-time high. So you can see that from that red candle there. Same thing in 2018, we established the local bottom. 517 days after that, we have our final retest of that bullish trigger point. We had our rejection, that's that little red candle there. And then 184 days after the halving event, we have our test of the all-time high. So what you can also see is we never actually break above this bullish trigger point until after the halving event. And second, when we reject from that final retest of that bullish trigger point, we never fall back below into this Gaussian channel here. So as you can have a look, over here we maintain right above that Gaussian channel, and over here it's just that one candle and we stay above the Gaussian channel. So if we apply everything that this chart tells us about the 4-year cycle and what's going to happen, we know a couple things. So first of all, we know that this test of $48,000 will not be our final retest of this level, meaning that this is not the final rejection that we're going to have. We are going to test $48,000 at least once more, and we are going to reject from that level before we finally break above $48,000 and test our all-time high. The second thing that it tells us is that we're not going to have that break above $48,000 until after the halving event, because it's never ever happened before the halving event. And finally, that this rejection from $48,000 might not be over yet, at least on a macro scale. We saw some short time frame relief from that downtrend, but we might actually continue downwards on a macro scale, and we might go as low as the top of this Gaussian channel here at $36,700. So let's take a look at Bitcoin's current price action. So this is on a short time frame. We're on a 4-hour chart right now. And as you can see from the chart, it's not looking very good. So we had our correction downwards from $49,000 and we bounced at $38,500 and established this short time frame trend line. We have since broken that upwards trend line and are currently trying to find support on our 50 SMA as well as our POC level. Ever since we tested our resistance here at the local high of 43,800, we've literally done nothing but go down or go sideways ever since. And this whole time we've been losing bullish strength, we've been losing momentum, and we've also had decreasing bullish volume. So the signs aren't looking very good for Bitcoin. Our next level of support on the shorter time frame is around 41,700, and then of course we have that level around $40,000 and $38,000. Okay, so if we zoom out just a little bit onto a daily chart, we can see a couple things. So the first thing that points out to me the most is this massive downtrend that we have in our RSI. So it started in December, and it kind of represented this huge bearish divergence that we had as well on the price structure. So we had an uptrend in the price structure, and that was at $49,000 was the top of that uptrend. And what it told us is that we were due for a massive correction, and that is what we got. So we corrected down from $49,000 to this $38,000 level. However, we still haven't broken this massive downtrend in the RSI. And a friend of mine once told me, a trend is a friend until it ends. So we're going to apply that here. And, if we're still in this downtrend here, what that tells us is that we're going to continue losing strength, we're going to continue losing momentum, and we're going to probably continue downwards until we find the strength to break above this downtrend and establish an upwards trend line. And that would completely invalidate this, we'd put that in the past, and we'd be in a new RSI uptrend. But we haven't done that yet. We're still within this downtrend, and while that continues, this entire chart isn't looking very good. You can also see from a price structure perspective that we are starting to develop these lower highs as well. We have $49,000 as the top of this downtrend, and we've got a lower high around our current level that we're testing here. So we basically, we had this macro downtrend that we were in, this bigger time frame downtrend, and on the shorter time frame we were trying to find the strength to break above that, and ultimately we failed. So we broke below that short time frame trend line, and we're still within this downtrend. So again, what that tells me is that we are going to continue lower. Our next level of major support is at that $38,000 to $40,000 level, but in worst case scenario, if we do lose that level, it would trigger us to go lower. It would be a bearish trigger, and it would take us somewhere around this next level of horizontal support. So that begins at $36,000, right? And that actually coincides pretty perfectly with this chart here on BLX, where we can see that the top of that Gaussian channel is around 36,500 to 36,800, right? So we shouldn't go below that level. So we know that we have a major level of historical price data that tells us we're not going to go below this level, and we also have a major level of support here. So two things that are preventing us from going lower than that. We also have a major uptrend here, and that started at the beginning of our accumulation phase all the way back here in November. We've got three levels here that we should test if we break below this $38,000, $40,000 level. So we've got $38,000, $36,000. We've also got that $36,500. I'm sorry, this is such a mess. And then worst case scenario, we've got this major macro uptrend, which I do not see us losing at all. There are just too many levels of support in between. Let's really quickly talk about what that would mean for the broader cryptocurrency market. Right now, we are in a really, really critical position on this chart. So this level here that we're sitting above is $465 billion. And it is kind of equivalent to what would be $48,000 in a Bitcoin chart. It's kind of like we break above 48K and we should just shoot right up to 69K. So that 69K is obviously 1 point something trillion. It's the top of the peak of where we've ever been in the total cryptocurrency market cap, the most amount of money that has been in crypto. And we're currently sitting above that level. So we had a really, really great breakout here. However, it does really look like we're struggling to hold on this level. We printed two red candles right after the break, and the current candle we're printing is looking really, really weak. We've got two long wicks to the upside and the bottom, and a really small body in between. So we're really struggling to hold. If we have a look at historically what we've done, this level here has been kind of equivalent to what was that $465 billion. So it sits around $83 billion, right? We had the bottom of the bear market in our accumulation phase, and between the accumulation and the halving event, we actually retested this level twice. But we never actually broke above it, we just retested it. And then it wasn't until after the halving event we had this. We broke above that level of support, and we finally had that parabolic action to the upside to 900 or close to $1 trillion. So if we have a look at what's happening right now and we translate that over, this was the start of our accumulation somewhere in November, and our halving event should be set for somewhere around April. Within this range, we haven't had any retests of this top, but suddenly we've had a breakout above that level before the halving event, when really we should be having it over here. What that kind of tells me is there's a very strong likelihood that this is actually a fake out, and it's not actually going to find support on this level at $465 billion, and we might see a huge correction back to the bottom of this range at $302 billion. This is particularly likely if we do break below $38,000 on Bitcoin. As you guys will know, the way Bitcoin goes, altcoins generally go, right? So if we have that major break on Bitcoin below $38,000 and go to test ranges such as $36,000, it is pretty much inevitable that we'll break below this level of support and test somewhere within this range. And that would be absolutely devastating for altcoins, specifically those smaller cap coins, because this is essentially, a 40% drop in the amount of money in cryptocurrency overall. It would literally be like, 60 to 80% drops in most altcoins. Let's just pick a random one. I've been trading Solana a lot, so let's pop up Solana. So if we have a look at the start of this, right, so the most recent peak, that was around here. So let's mark that in. That was the top of that range where we tested resistance at $465 billion. And then when we tested the base of support at 300 billion, that was around here. This is when we had a 40% drop. This is the last time we had a 40% drop in the total cryptocurrency market cap. And in Solana, which isn't a particularly small altcoin, by the way, saw a 78% drop from where it was. And it also established pretty much a new local bottom. So as you can imagine, very devastating for altcoins, and it's definitely something to keep in mind. I would definitely be looking out for this close here in 6 days, whether or not we close within this body and potentially reject below. There you have it, guys. We're definitely seeing some really strange things this cycle. Lots of early breakouts and early retests. Unfortunately though, most of it doesn't look particularly healthy or sustainable, and Bitcoin does look really weak on those shorter time frames in that daily chart. If you guys enjoyed the analysis today, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel down below. And if you want to see more of my content, I do have a free Telegram where you guys can sign up for daily Bitcoin updates as well as crypto and economic news. If you're a trader and you want 15% off your trading fees, sign up down below to Bitget and BingX. Bitget is available to everyone outside of the US and Singapore, and BingX is available worldwide and non-KYC. That is everything from me, guys, so I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye!